Welcome, L127 here. So last time in our Factorio Space Age playthrough, I set up some more things on Nalphys, including this uranium processing, where I get uranium 238 and 235, which also means that I have started the uranium mining. I set up the delivery ships for the first two space planetary science that I have done, one of which is the electromagnetic science, which is just done on the last part. Yeah. And then in off-screen, during off-screen session, well, first I landed on Gleba, and then I navigated through Gleba and set up this basic infrastructure for me to get the Umako seeds, the pentabar egg in containment, so I can always have the jump-starting pentabar egg whenever I need one. And also produces power that I'm going to need for the current session. And during off-screen, I paved the entire. I basically placed a lot of this. Basically paved the whole base section with concrete and basically cleaned off the mess on the floor, so it looks a lot neater compared to the outside section where it's quite messy outside. So I took some time off screen to clean the thing up, and I also prepared the trains section here that I'm going to be using for delivering the seeds and we're actually delivering the fruits, and then put the seeds back to the agricultural towers with the trains, basically. And that's pretty much what's about in the last part. So let's talk about this whole thing before I move on. So here is the Umako farm session. It's not really 100% complete at the moment, but as you can see here, as the fruits are being harvested and grown with the seeds here. So this is the Umako seeds, and these are the Umako trees, and then we're harvesting Umako, put them here into the processing section. So what is it all about here? So the first thing is that the Umakos are processed to Umako mesh. Umako mesh are spoiled very quickly compared to the fruits themselves. 1 hour to 3 minutes. So they are quickly put into the heating tower where the power is going to be produced. Well, this kind of power has to be exchanged using a heat exchanger. Then we can get the 500-degree steam, and then we can use those on the steam turbines. It's very similar to the nuclear reactor, which I plan to set up for this part back in Nalphys, if I have the time, that is. And then the seeds are spilled out of here. Any excess seeds will be also put back into the heating tower, as they can also be burnt. But I want to get the seeds. But yeah. And some of the Umako is processed back in the to produce more nutrients that I'm going to need for every single biome chamber. Additionally, this pentabar recipe. So here is the tick starting nutrient machine. So what this does is that it checks for, as it's going to check for, this one is only going to put the spoilage into the machine whenever there's a Yomako in the, I believe in the bio chambers. And then here is the second part of the thing, is that here is already going to calculate how much of the Yomako mesh. So here is the spoilage container, and any excess storage I do not want is put into the bulk inserter. But here I actually want to get one thing going for this whole thing. I want to change it to a brief logistics storage. It's not in the logistics storage, but I will put it here because I want to keep some of the spoilage if possible. Yes, so that is the spoilage container. And any spoilage comes from here, then we can pick it. And we can save some of those here, instead of being literally thrown into the spoilage. Or the heating tower to be burned down. Anything that is not a seed is burned down here, but here is a condition: is when there's a more than 10, is only going to be putting Yomako mesh. Here is not going to be putting the seed. It's also going to be putting the spoilage into the heating tower if it wants to, that is. And the nutrients is recycled here and then put it back into this loop. And the new piece of nutrients, if there is any shutdown happening, that the spoilage is going to be processing into nutrients and then put it into the loop. And when this is being checked, so the whole system, so what it's going to check for is that all these contents are being read, including the fuel. Not including this one, but there's a second circuit system going there. But yeah. So it's going to check the nutrients on this whole system, basically on this whole system. If there is not enough nutrients, then it's going to be process the nutrients, spoilage to nutrients. Then it's going to be fed into the bio chambers and get the process sizes. So use this nutrients from Yomako mesh. And let's talk about the second system. So this is the pentabar egg recipe. So it's going to be rating if this machine is working, and it's going to be considering the items inside the, basically considering the pentabar X inside this bio chamber, and it's going to be rating this two piece of information. If it contains any pentabar X and is not working, and the clock is going to function. And when the start signal is more than 18,000, which is 5 minutes, 300 seconds, 18,000 ticks. So it's going to be 5 minutes. And then 5 minutes after, which is about a third of the pentabar X lifetime, is going to be give out a warning indicating an issue on the containment of the pentabar egg before bad things happen. As for a backup, I also have this counter. For in any cases that the pentabar X actually hatch and turns to the regular pentabar egg, and those big ones are most likely going to be destroying the infrastructure if left untreated. Even though they are premature, I'm concerned that they will just be able to leach out health from the buildings, because I believe that the they can leech from other from player buildings, not just the nature things like the stromatolite or like any other plants. And here is another little bit of circuitry. It's going to be reading if there's too many in the chest. It's going to be enabled to make sure that it can treat the excess seeds, so the whole system doesn't jam. And here's also going to be reading. Oh yes, here is going to be taking some Umako. There's also going to be taking some Umako mash if I don't have enough spoilage in the whole thing, so I can actually get some of those tick started. Just part of the preparation for if there's any kind of shutdown happening, or if there happens to be any kind of shutdown, that the thing can be restarted using the spoilage that is borrowed from the Umako match that I intentionally put into this chest, which is going to be some up for this, for both the Umako match that are about to be spoiled and then the spoilage. So then sum up as the actual spoilage count, then to calculate how much Umako match I actually going to put into this chest, which are going to be put as it's going to be the spoilage chest basically. And then if there happen to be any excess spoilage, I can potentially put this back into the passive proprietor chest. There may be some more tweaks for this bio-basics, but that's pretty much about this whole bio-basics thing. I also have some storage tank storing the steam, because I don't know if I actually going to have any kind of situation where I'm going to have this whole thing shut it down by any case, or by any chance really, that the steam can hold for a while until I found out the problem, any potential problem. But as I haven't used this module for a long time, since I started ever since my playing Gleba. I don't think I need to worry about this. So let's talk about the second part of the building I want to go for. It's going to be the rocket fuel from Jelly, and it's going to be using rocket fuel to power the whole building. But the first thing I want to do is I want to return to Nelvis, and I will be asking for some Robopods. We'll be asking for 100 at the moment, but I don't think I actually have 100. You might have to raise me more for this. I just have 100, let's do 150. And any other things I feel like I'm needed? What's the current situation? Well, we don't have much of substation left. No, I don't think substation is that emergent, but I would like to get some of the other parts of the trains setup going for me to be able to set up for. I feel like 4 is enough. Let's go for 10 floors. There's gonna be several rockets, and we're gonna be asking for 100 of those. Some train stops, rail signals, or actually just 100 of those, and 100 chain signals. I also want to have some locomotives, and some wagons. I don't think I need 4 wagons at the moment. And the cliff explosives, or actually I can just go from to Memphis and then go to Falklands and then go back to Gleba. That will work. So I can potentially just get the cliff explosive from Falklands and then head north. But I cannot bring too much because I don't have much of rocket set up in Falklands. Okay, so as you can see, the spore cloud is kind of going, but there as at the moment of the time of recording, there has been an update, a very recent update that adjusted the absorption of spores to make the water tiles on Gleba absorb 3 times the spores, while making the trees not absorbing any spores. This may be better for like if this is the kind of terrain that goes in the as a part of your terrain. So mostly the wetland areas is going to be spreading slower of the spore cloud, I think, or like this kind of concrete paving is bad for that because concrete wouldn't do that for that purpose. And for the late part of the game, where you are most likely going to be taking all the trees down, I don't think that this will be much of a impact then, because trees no longer absorb the spores. This is currently 2.0.43, and what has just happened to be one part of the update, the balancing part. As I check in the travel, it's very quickly completed, and I'm gonna go to Focus. I'll be asking for 2 sets of rockets of these. I think I have that amount. 200 actually goes. But I'm most likely going to be raising my production of Gleba explosive and rockets, that kind of thing. Anyways, I got some new Marco seeds. But another thing I really want to get to set up is Jellynut, as jelly is going to be also one of the significant parts of the play. So for the very first section of the actual work, we are going to try to get to set up the Jellynut farming, and then we can start the Jellynut cycle, and then we're going to be using this Jellynut cycle. Well, it's a bit more complex for the Jellynut cycle, because there is no option for you to get the nutrients from Jellynut, so you only have 2 options for this. The first is either do the Jellynut processing without using a biochamber, and we lose the 50% productivity bonus, and this can be bad or risky, because then I don't get the surplus of seeds. Or like I will be gaining the 1 seed per fruit, and then it's just gonna be 1 seed every tree. So I use 1 seed to get 1 seed, and that doesn't give out a surplus in average, which can be risky, because if I once run out of seeds, or like I did not process any single of the fruits, it's going to eventually run out if in the long run. So I would like to use biochambers for Jellynut processing. Those the things that you can make, you can do in the assembly machine, where you are supposedly you can do in the biochamber. The only one that is worth notice is the nutrients from spoilage, basically, as this is the most important recipe for kickstarting everything, basically. So I plan to use this area for Jellynuts. So what is the first part of the puzzle? Well, is to find out the good ratio for the whole project. So what is rocket fuel from jelly? So here is rocket fuel from jelly. So rocket fuel from jelly is 2 bioflux, 30 jelly, and 30 water. But the ratio is a bit more complex. There's one reason is that this must be done in the biochamber along with bioflux, and Jellynut processing isn't strictly required to be done in a biochamber, but I want this kind of processing to be done in a biochamber so I get the surplus of seeds. Anyways, let's just put our biochambers and get the process started. And I would like to get the foundries set up. Well, actually, I will just use foundries at the moment so I can actually get some ingredients I would like to get for the whole thing, so I could just ignore this kind of iron issue at the moment. So I would like to get some iron going, so I don't have to worry about this at the current state. But I would like to cut this off and then paste it back into this. Then I would definitely like to get some efficiency modules going as well. And I would like to get the travel platform back to Gleba, as it's now available for the cliff explosives to be sent back to Gleba, and then I can break down some more cliffs, as I kind of running out of cliff explosive, and I wouldn't be happy about that, because the cliff explosives, I kind of need those if I want to expand. But I think I'm good with the expanded scale I would like to get at the moment, because I already set up what section I would like to get for each of this section, what kind of processing I want to set up for. And I also am going to need some calcite for this process. Well, actually, just put the calcite over here. And then we can just set up the process to make the whole thing. And then that should be fine. So the first thing is that the ship is returning back to Gleba, so I can get the feast. And then I got some spoilage. I have some pack of spoilage just in case, any cases I feel like spoilage is going to be needed. I highly doubt if I actually will go send it back to the chest, but we'll just look if the chest actually gets in. Any spoilage as time goes on, really. And I would like to get some iron plates, and you can just stay, really. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, so let's look into the recipe of the biochambers. There's 3 recipes we need to look into: the Jellynut processing, the bioflux, and the rocket fuel and jelly. So, for each bioflux assembler, can feed 5 of these. Can feed 5 rocket fuel assemblers, and that is going to be 34. 34 is a very annoying ratio. It means I need to use bluebells and to be able to feed this much process. Or actually, I could potentially bypass this part by just doing something like this. And that could potentially be possible for that part of the equation. Though this is 12 per second, so I would definitely like to get this to be a... And the second problem is the bioflux. how I'm going to get the bioflux symptoms. Yeah, okay. And the next problem is how I'm going to make sure the jelly is going to be evenly distributed in the way I like to. So it's quite clear I'm going to be using 3 jelly processing, and then there's going to be a need for 5 Umarco, which can be easily done with 1 Umarco as a biochamber. So this is going to be the ratio I'm going to pick. It's going to be 3 jelly biochambers, 1 Umarco biochamber, 1 bioflux, and 5 of this fuel. Water is no worries, it just increases the difficulties a bit because you don't get too much of the sites to use in the for a biochamber. Where like you would like to use every side of a biochamber if you want to get the logistic problem solved. If that's what you want. Anyways, under this fact, the ratio for Jellynut farm here is going to be about 1 agricultural tower and then 3 agricultural towers for jelly. So 1 Umarco farm and then 3 jelly farm. Assuming if each agricultural tower has the same number of tiles as M's. So now our next problem is to figure a best way to get to arrange all sorts of these stuff, so I can perfectly fit these pieces of puzzle, so I can potentially get to produce the rocket fuel while being able to put those in a substation grid. That's what I want to get, but this can be difficult. And one of the most desired condition I would like to set for is that I directly process the fruits and then process the fruits directly to bioflux and then the rocket fuel. Rocket fuel doesn't spoil, but yeah, it just feels like is my current approach for the fruit processing is I want to process fruits and then immediately or near immediately or like in a near direct insertion, as you're going to be seeing in the later builds I'm going to be doing. So let's figure out how I'm going to get this done. So the first thing is that I have a rocket fuel build, but it assumes that I already have bioflux. So here we will be assuming that I don't have bioflux, and I want to make this on site. So let's see. So the first thing is that you need to know that you want nutrients in every biochamber. And then the other thing is that you want to potentially have a tick start capabilities for biochambers. So you want nutrients from spoilage if possible. Or like even more advanced build is going to be involving like potentially the nutrients from your Umarco mash. Well, actually, I think I'm actually going to try to make this thing the way that it potentially is going to be. But how much we can then gain after setting this up is going to be this much. It's 0.3 per second rocket fuel per second. It's actually quite a lot. So, well, for rocket launch studies, so it's actually going to be quite a bit, because considering the heating tower, and this rocket fuel is 100 megajoules. So the whole thing is actually about 75 megajoules about 75 megajoules of power from a single biochamber. or should I say 75 megawatts of power over fuel that comes from the biochamber, just a single biochamber. So that is a lot of power. So I definitely want to get this going, and then I could potentially get to set up a larger power production, and then I can just not just have 111 megawatts of power. I can potentially later on use something like Tesla turrets because those consume a lot of passive drain energy, or should I say they drain a lot of energy passively. And to handle those, I definitely want a decent power production because Tesla will also support the defenses if I want to set up for any defenses. But let's just return to the bioflux and then think about how I'm actually going to get this going. So the first thing is I definitely going to be setting up for jelly production. That is going to be something like this. And then and one of the things I need to make sure is that I get to an exit way for the rocket fuel. This kind of thing is really tricky to deal with, I have to say. Bioflux uses 4 per second. The first thing is I would like to get a tick stop. So let's talk into if I use efficiency modules on all of these. All of them is going to be 1000 kilowatt, 100 kilowatts. So this is going to be 1 megawatts of power, and a single piece of nutrient is 2 megajoules. So we will need the production of 0.5. Well, first let me put this back. So 0.5, and this is producing 0.62 nutrients per second. But I would like to actually get this to keep going. So the way I want this to work is that I get the Yumako mash. Any excess Yumako mash turn into nutrients, and then any excess jelly let them spoil, and then put back the spoilage into the tick starting. I may be asking too much, to be honest, and then more of the biochamber I set up for is going to be requiring more power. And then I just going to be setting up something like this, maybe. And I would like to make the stack scalable, so that is quite advanced already, I know. So I want to get this figured out. So let's see. So my mission is that I would like to get the Yumako I would like to get the nutrients from spoilage, or maybe I should get this into a single line. And then comes another problem is that the jelly, I definitely gonna be needing to put some jelly into the thing. But let's see how I'm going to get away with this. So let's put back our footprints, and then we're going to start with something like this. So the first thing is that get the rocket fuel from jelly here. And then split it into this section. And then I do jelly processing on these 3 plants. And in here I process bioflux. And then here I process Yumako. And then here I process the nucleus from Umarco mesh. That's 11 buildings, and then here is the assembling machine 3. That is going to be nutrients from spoilage, and all of them are going to be efficiency modules. Otherwise, the nutrients from spoilage is not going to be handling those builds. And another piece of the puzzle that I have to do is to be able to. Also, I think this is actually not going to work, so I have to flip this, or can't technically flip this. So here is I actually don't have the belts. Oh, let me get the belts, and I actually did. Let me get the belts, and also running out the belts. So let's go back to let's let this thing go back to the office, and then I will be asking for some belts. Let's ask for a huge number of belts, because I feel like I'm going to be needing quite a bit of belts. Also some arms, because yes, I would like to get some arms. And so let's return to this whole thing, and then I added a line here, and then I would like to get some other types of arms on my inventory. And then here we can set up for a fast arm. Maybe I should go with the green arm, but whatever. And then here is going to be a two-sided belt where I'm going to be processing Umarco for this one. It's going to be a dispose for it's going to be any excess Umarco that we can potentially just put back into the thing. As one of the most important things, I want to get all fruits processed, so I don't waste any fruit. And I would like to use wooden chest for this, because they serve the purpose for a tiny capacity I would potentially like to have for this kind of thing. And then for the and for the jelly that I would potentially like to settle for that. I do not want jelly to be over uncertainty, and or I could potentially do jelly processing, but I will do this on the inserter. So the jelly is I only want this when I have less than, let's say, 60 jelly, and that's 2 craft of jelly worth in the whole thing. And here I will be asking for 54, because well, this has been less. And the second thing is that the bioflux is the second ingredient that needs to be put into this whole thing, which is going to be needed to be put into the biochamber, which is going to be put this way. I also need some pipeline, and those things are just one of them. Those two are just done with. And I would like to get some pipes, and I think that's it. I just need the pipes there. Yeah, so I also got some pipes. Anyway, so the bioflux system be coming from, well, actually I want it to be here maybe. And then here is going to be a second process that I would like to set. Is that the Umarco mesh I want to set for 42, and I only want this to process when more than 30 Umarco mesh. as the same number of the Umarco mash actually yields more actually most the higher number. We're talking about numbers at this point, as I want the numbers to go high enough. So actually, and then the second part of the puzzle is that this is 2 per second. Okay. And I would like the nutrients to be on this. If I would like to get nutrients to be on the same line, then I could potentially do something like this. And I need underground, so let me pick underground. I also like to get some splitters. I will possibly need more underground, so I will pick more. And I could potentially do something like this, and then we can potentially get the bioflux to be delivered. So the bioflux is going to be on this inner side of the belt, and the nutrients are going to be on the outer side of the belt. And then we can potentially put our water from here. And then to make this consistent, I would like to set up something like this. So it can keep flowing, the things can keep flowing. And there is the second part of the puzzle is to treat spoilage. As the spoilage is quite a bit of a tricky part of the puzzle in every single biological build. And the way that I would like to get this through is as the ratio is actually more, so I could potentially use up all the. So let's talk about. So the first thing is I will have to first clear off these, and then the first thing is that the nutrients needs to be delivered to the bioflux. Well, what if I do something like this, and then something like this? Or I could potentially put something like this, and then we can put the nutrients. And the second piece of the puzzle is that we're only going to need to do something like this. And then I can then connect those nodes together. And then I can put back the nutrients back into this biochamber if that's going to be available. But I would like to get the biochamber base. And then for every entry point of the nutrient and bioflux that I want to have an exit way, and for every single of these of potential spoilage exit ways that I want to put those in this belt. There comes the second tricky part is that the bioflux, actually the spoilage inside the biochambers. The way we're going to treat this is going to be putting most of this, and then here I could potentially put this back as spoilage. Well, the first thing I want to do is that I want to put the spoilage back from these buildings. But first, absolutely, the first thing you absolutely have to do is to actually set off the filter for spoilage, because if you don't set the filters, everything is going to be on the spoilage bills, where it's supposed to be spoilage. So, and then we can copy the same thing for this one. And well, actually, I think I have said this one. It has to be put into the bells, but we can just do a quick fix. And then here is the tricky part. that I will have to kind of tweak this for this reason. And we have successfully set up for the spoilage belts. For all these spoilage to be turned into these things. But you don't know how if it's actually going to be functional if you don't get it to if you don't give it a test. And that's why the reason for testing. And then the first thing I would like to set up for is to actually be able to spill out any seeds I will potentially be able to get. As I would like to change the size, and then I would like to change the size to be, if I want to go one left any further, potentially here for now. But what I want to do here is I want to get the seeds out. That this is going to be strictly limited to that I only want the seeds to be on the spells. Even anything that can be done better, that I could potentially just get the Yumako seeds. I'll put it on the different side of the belt. On the other side of the belt, thanks. That's the third side of the belt, maybe. How's travel? You are good, but I would like you to give me double this. Anyways, that is the seat, and it's very nicely treated this way. As the belt's distribution is quite nice this way. Everything can be disposed the way that I potentially to go. But there's a second part of the picture, the second part of the puzzle, is to feed the right side of the nutrient belts, the right side of the biochambers. So the first thing is to be able to spill out the nutrient belts. So let's see how I'm going to do this. Well, I think I'm going to do this way. So instead of putting the seeds here, we're going to be putting the seeds only one further. We're going to be putting the seeds one further. Well, actually, no. And then we can then potentially put the nutrients on this side, and then put this as a nutrient belt. And for any spoilage belts, that I would like to do this with a blue arm. That we're going to fill this as a spoilage. And then here is a bit of a tricky part because I wouldn't like to get the. So I would like to actually set this for the, and then it's actually set up quite wrong. It's a bit wrong for this. So this makes it a bit more consistent. And then here's the spoilage belt. I would like to put this spoilage belt back into the back into the system instead of actually putting this. And another part of the puzzle is actually putting the spoilage into the. And there's the seats. I wouldn't like to get to this. Maybe I can tweak this so the seats are delivered this way. Also, I would like to get some other types of research other than just the things. Let's go for the other types of productivity for now. These two things are not so easy to get in Gleba. Not like the rocket fuel days. Well, none of this has been tested at the moment, so I wouldn't even know if it's actually going to function like what I would like it to be. So, no, I don't think I would have to be trusted myself over anything that has been happening at this current moment, because it's all sorts of unstable stuff going over this entire thing, because that's what happened. That's what happened when you design a Gleba build, and it turns to absolute mess. And then it's already an hour of work here. But that's about how basically how a blueprint of Gleba is going to be made. That's pretty much how you're going to consider how you're actually going to design a blueprint for Gleba. I would actually consider making a blueprint for Gleba a part of the challenge, because. And then another problem is actually going to be put the rocket fuel back it away from the whole thing. And I would like to see if I can actually put the rocket fuel back from here. If possible, then it would be good for that part. But it's highly doubt if it's actually going to be possible. So this is I believe this is the nutrient belt. And the nutrient belt is, I think that I'm going to be putting the nutrient belt this way. And then we can then put the nutrients here. And then we can potentially put the rocket fuel back into the whole thing. I will just put it on one side with anything that I have to watch. And here, that you absolutely need to set up for filtering for rocket fuel. You want to set up. I think that's the one for that. Yes. And then we need to somehow be able to take out the nutrients from spoilage. So the first thing is I feel like I'm going to just tweak this, and then I can potentially put a chest here, and then here I feel like I'm going to be going for a green arm that is going to be put in the spoilage. And the spoilage is going to be picking up for any kind of needs for. And then we need to censor the nutrients. and we need to censor the nutrients for the whole system to be functional. So here, I think I will be setting up for a splitter, so I can just censor this whole, just this part of the belt, including spec one. But I don't think that's much of the issue to think about there. But I would like to censor the nutrients in the whole thing. I will potentially need a decided combination for this. So the jelly are delivered, and I potentially need to use a green arm for these actually. Well, actually, I just want to be straight up crazy to green arms for these, and also going to need green. Well, actually, I have the green arms. And then there's going to be the nutrients, and the nutrients here then can be go for this. And all of those machines should be able to get the spoilage out. And I think I am good, but I'm not really sure. Again, the whole blueprint is, well, I would have to say messy, but it's also just some complex stuff stuck into each other and then just create this kind of chaos. And we are going to be creating even more chaos because I'm going to be about to think around how I actually get away with the nutrients. So this is the nutrient belt, and the nutrient belt ends about here. So I can actually just end this nutrient belt, and then we can just read this to nutrient belts most likely. And then the condition for the whole thing, I also want to set up if there is anything in the storage system. So I would like to set up, actually, red line might have been messed. It might have been messed up the whole thing. I would like to use a green line first. So these two has to be reading for all belts, and then this will be reading including the bioflux, but I don't think that's the issue for now. And then the bioflux is going to be right. And we're going to be reading the system for so when to process the nutrients from spoilage. So it's pretty clear when to stop processing the nutrients stop doing nutrients from spoilage. But when I want to start processing nutrients from spoilage, well, actually, I think that I'm going to just go for an easier approach for this. I'm just going to be reading if there are both Yumako and Jelly, that I'm probably going to be doing the same process. Or like if there is any fruits, any biochamber process I would like to get to, then I would like to see how this goes. And do I want to include in crafting? I don't think I want to include fuel. And I hope to be able to put it on the. I will have to put it somewhere like here. And then put this now, and then we can process it. And we're going to give out this a check mark. Only do this thing when if it's a check mark. So the condition for the nutrients is I want the nutrients on belt to be within 30 before I actually going to be planning to do nutrients from spoilage, or probably a bit less, 20 for now. I will have to check. Again, if you want to get to be able to do the most efficient part of your factory, you definitely need to test it. And the next thing is I would like to do some sort of disposal for any kind of excess spoilage that did not get picked up from the. And I don't have heating tower. I don't think I have heating towers. Like, I have very low heating tower. Only 2. I think that should be just good for now. And then we don't really need to do the specified build for the seeds. And as I'm thinking, and here is also another spoilage issue. So I actually can't do this here. But I can't really do anywhere else. So, what I can do here. And so this needs to be spoilage. On the side of the pellets. This has to be something like this. And the spoilage bells. It doesn't work this way. That's going to be put into the spoilage. Okay, the next thing is nutrients spoilage. That needs nutrients, and that's too far to get to. Actually, I'm not going to be able to get to them. Or I can actually try to tweak the right side here so the nutrients then can get to the thing. Or I could potentially put butterflies here. And the 2 per second is kind of bugging me though. 2 per second is quite a bit fast for that. I think that's my capabilities at the moment, as I really would like to get the spoilage addressed. So I do something like this, and I could potentially, as that is put on the outer side of the belt, so this will work, and we can then do something like this. Oh man, finally I was able to figure a solution for this. And if I want the second thing, because I never satisfied with the thing, I would like to set for something like this, and then I put it this put on the inside of the house. That doesn't work that way. I have to get that belt going. I would like to put the. Well, I think I'm just gonna go with it in confessional methods. It's just gonna do something like this. And then I should be able to put the heating tower. Just in case I want to make the sponge too. Because if this is not a sponge, then things could potentially jam. Anyway, so that is a bit of fix for that, but I'm not sure at all if this is going to work. But that is the rocket It should be most of the work of your production. The last piece of the puzzle is basically the when to start processing the thing. So I would like to do this when I have Marco and Jellynut, and I want to include the crafting most likely. So I want to have more. If there's any Yumako or jelly in the system, that I want to do the whole thing. And then the entry point. This is actually a close line, but it's actually going to be how it's going to be like. So this is going to be the. I really would like to get the Bioflux because I don't think the throughput for Bioflux is sufficient. 2 per second. I really need to think about this because I'm actually not sure if the. Well, we're just going to leave this for now. Yes. But yeah, that's So this is the nutrient bioflux belt. This is the rocket fuel belt, which is a potential output that we want. And then I would like to get the output. So output priority left there, and then we're going to be throwing this away if there's too much of one thing. Though this could be a bit dangerous if I put that way too long for comfort phase. And then this is the seed belt, and this is the fruit input belt. So let's copy this whole thing and to determine where I'm actually going to put this thing. Let's put it here. The first thing is I'm actually going to put this, we're going to actually tear this up because this is not where I was supposed to do, where I want the things to be. So the first thing is I'm going to let the robots redo, just restart, and then just tear this part up, and then put this blueprint there, and see if it works. And then the next thing is that I need to get some Jellynut. Or specifically the seeds for Jellynut. But I could potentially just leave this for now because I don't think I have much worries about that. So the first thing is that I need to settle for agricultural towers. Where is the best place? That is potentially where I actually will be able to do this. But the first thing of the picture is going to be how fast an agricultural tower, or like a farmable agricultural tower. So I said a farmable tower for an agricultural tower is that this is an agricultural tower, and the grid here, as you can see, the green and the yellow grids here, is that in the case of if it is a farmable tile, you have to place soil, either maybe the regular type of the artificial soil or the advanced type of the overgrown soil where you need Biterex and other stuff to make. Is an advanced soil that can be universally placed, or like in the red one where you cannot plant at all. So we are talking about the green farmable tiles, or like a 3x3 grid tile. not a single tile block or like a single tile, like how much bells occupies. No, it's a how much an assembly machine takes. So that's one tree placement. So that's a one tree growth. So for every tree growth is every 5 minutes you get 50. So it's about 300 seconds for 50 fruits. So 300 seconds for 50 fruit. So here is 2 fruits per second. After some basic calculation, we will need 12 formable tiles to be able to fully feed a biochamber based on the rate of based on the average that 12 is going to be needed. So what I want to get to is that I want to set for 12 Yumako tiles and then 36 Jellynut tiles. That's what I want. But it appears that I don't have enough tiles for Jellynut, so that can be a bit tricky. But for now, that we finally have some brief conclusion on that puzzle. So our next thing is I need an agricultural tower, or 2 agricultural towers. It appears that I don't have enough agricultural towers. I also need some steel. So this is mostly farmable, so I would like to just be asking for some placeable tiles. So this is 12, it's gonna be 12 actually, yes, 12 placeables. And it's gonna be enough to just fit a biochamber in average, but for now, I can't help too much about this. And plus I don't get much seeds to use. And that's the problem with the whole picture. That we need so much Jellynuts that I don't get Jellynuts because I don't have the I don't have the Jellynuts going, unlike the Yumako, which has been kept going because that happens. Anyways, so this is where the fruit is going to be coming from, and this is where the rocket fuel is going to be coming out of. So the first thing is that I'm going to set it for the fruit there, and as for the second part of the picture, it's going to be making power using heating tower, exchangers, and turbine. But that's a part of the play when it comes to nuclear energy. I would like to talk about nuclear power before I actually talk deeper into these parts. I would like to get some concrete. I don't have much farmable land. That is very unfortunate. But here I should be able to just feed a single agricultural tower at the moment. So I don't think that's too much of a concern. And mining productivity 26. Well, actually, no. It's just because I have done with these. Let's just continue this. I don't want mine pro 26 at the moment, as mine pro doesn't really help agriculture. So I might as well just get this going for what I feel like to, for now at least. And to the fact that I don't have radar It can be bad. And I don't have green circuits or electronic circuits or whatever. It's just the basic circuits, the regular version of circuits, and I don't want all those gear on me too much. And so we'll be making two, or actually, yes, two radars. Also, it'll be medium poles for the reason that I have put this to be medium poles, not the small ones. And then we also need to put water. Well, water should be fairly easy to deal with. And I can just make one out of there. And also, here comes the basic components of. And I don't want to. Okay, this is just a bit too hard to actually get to. I'll just do ghost. Alright, so that is the power for the jelly. Well. And the right side is going to be the jelly suit. And I really run out of glue. So let's go back to Gleba and we're going to be dropping the things. Then I can continue doing the work. I will just be back after the ship will arrive. I better put the things away, otherwise it's gonna be full. Anyway, so I'm back, and we're going to be taking these. Oh my god, inventory is already full. Anyways, a little full. So far, so bad. Anyways. So let's continue working on this possible project. So I would like to get the thing started simultaneously, so it doesn't cause any problems. And the next thing is I'm going to need to set for a Yumako form. Yumako, there is not much demand for Yumako compared to jelly on this in this build. But still, it's gonna be a bit tricky for me to get the needed, especially to the fact that this is a bit messy ground. I would like to mark up some. Actually, those are no. Not much placeable, but we actually don't need to worry about that possible build because, well, but first let me copy the whole thing. Oh, screen. Those are simply not placeable, non-placeable ones. For that reason, I don't think I need to worry about that. And then the approach will be here, and the seats, the Yamato seats, is going to be captured that's the wrong direction. And that's the Yamato section, but power, for sure, is required. Alright. So we have some Jellynut. I would like to get some Jellynut processed right away. So the first thing is there is some spoilage. I would like to put the spoilage right now, and then we can potentially just get this started. But it's all about if it works, right? If it works, then we take it. If it doesn't, well, then it's over for just possibly. But yeah. I would like to take a try on this. Oh, I didn't do this back. But yeah, this one should work, and I really hope that this works. If this doesn't work, well, I have nothing to say. Anyways, so this should potentially help us out on getting the seats, but as a part of me getting the seats, I would like to get the Jellynut seats, but I will also be able to get some Yamato seats if possible. So let's just get the seats back up. Just get the seats if available. So if I can potentially get the seats going, we can potentially have a better time like this. I guess there is a problem. There's no Yamato. It's just because this process took fast. Any changes to the regular arm? Oh, I found a problem. It should be mold inserting. Raiko said it's all. Just said it's all. So that's why you want to experiment every time you test the build. You definitely want to test the build. I have to say that you definitely have to test the build. You don't test the build, you don't know what's wrong with your build code. I want to expose the excess markup because I simply don't really need that much new markup at the moment, as I already have a new markup growth there. Anyways, being the part of the project, and we are going to be setting up a plantation where I'm going to actually get the things going. So this is the new markup. There's already some. Oh, what? Oh, it's probably nature code. Or it's probably some of this is actually cool. And I can also grow some Jellynut. Anyways, and Yumako, I would like to get some Yumako soil, but the soil is not so easy to get, and I would like to do the soil here because, no, it's easier to get the soil going. And obviously, I would like to get the product safety emojis for this because they do accept the product safety, so you might as well just take it. So let's go for artificial Yumako soil, and then we'll be putting some landfill and some seeds there. I think I can just put those because I already have the seeds. And then I should be able to extend plantation for Yumako farm for the worker field. I only need 12 at the moment, and then I also need to extend the production of these. So let's say this will be 450 as I triple the capacity. I could set it to closer to 480, but yeah, might as well just get it settled. Anyway, so we are be making some and then another potential breakthrough point of that is that we could potentially get some spoilage out of these. I will put the seeds here for now. Anyways, I will need to take some Jellynut, but let's just get some plantation because there's currently only 6. I want 12, so. So currently there is 12, so let's mark the numbers for now. This is 12 out of 45 Yumako tiles. And then we're going to be duplicating this thing. The Jellynut, and making sure the tag is Jellynut. Yumako. Alright, so plantation comes with responsibilities, but the first thing is actually going to get some Jellynut, so I can actually keep this going. But it comes with responsibilities that I have to take down some more enemies, and since that one of the workers, well actually I probably have some workers breaking the base. There's already some spoilage thing. Yes, there are some fruits remaining fruits that are unused. Though I highly doubt because I don't think it should be too much of a problem. Though Yumako will be most severe cases in that part of the picture because there's a longer distance involved, which means more storage there coming, and then the flow is stuck. And when they turn to spoilage, I'm going to be losing some. The space is going to be empty out and causing more Yomakos to be put into the system. But I don't think I'm going to be bothered about those too much now. What this needs to be treated is enemies. So I will be taking a look into the enemies. And I would like to get the Jellynut because you eat Jellynut, you actually gain speed boost. So. The most important is to take down the is to obviously take down the whole enemy spawner for the egg raft in this case. You definitely want to just try to take down the enemies, enemy spawning if possible, because you don't want just get the enemy keep spawning and then you essentially just fail to take down the enemies. I don't have much rockets. I should bring more rockets if possible. Just to prevent them from spawning even more enemies, I will just try my best to get this full by just do some basic move overs. Just need to make sure the enemies don't attack us. That should be golden. Whatever we do, just don't get attacked. That's very simple. It's easier to do this with no enemy expansion. Though if there is enemy expansion, I believe this can be countered with landfill, but since I haven't replayed Gleba with enemy expansion, so I don't really know about this. But I'm just going to let these enemies naturally die out because I don't want to waste my rockets. You know, the rockets. I don't think I have that many rockets left. One thing for sure is I need to go back to my inventory and to see. There's a promo shop is dead. Over. Anyways, I was talking. I got some more pent-up eggs, but obviously taken down with this. I would like to keep one because, yes, I would like to keep one for that purpose. And says, oh, it's already full. How do we fix this? Turn it to a big chest. And so, let's see how many rockets I have. I still have a bit of rockets. I have firearm magazines, but I actually don't have. But I do have a shotgun, so. The agricultural pack. Secretly unlocked. Well, not really secretly unlocked, but the reason we unlocked the agriculture pack already is because you don't need to craft some bit more bioflux that we didn't craft 100 in the last part. But we did. We did reach 100 at this current moment, and then it unlocks the agriculture pack. But it's a bit more logistically difficult. Or should I say, it's a bit more... it comes with a time constraint on that one. So I would like to get the things set up before I actually get to building the agricultural science. because if I don't build the if I don't get the science builder, if I don't get the rocket set up, and then I cannot get the rocket science sent out of the planet back to the labs, then it doesn't work. It simply doesn't work. And I absolutely need to try to take on every single of this rift because oh my god, there's so many enemies and it's so hard to see. This is the most difficult part for Gleba, in my opinion, is actually that it's very hard to see. There's a lot of things crammed into a single thing, and it's just like you would have difficulty to, and yeah, and not a fan of that. That's too much of a thing. Way too much of a thing. Like, really, you want me to fight those? I'm not sure about that, but. What we can potentially do is to take down any potential enemy spawning. Those are very hard to see, as you know. I see that it's very hard to see. I don't think I need to really worry about not picking the eggs that drop from the spawners. I don't think the premature big Wrigless will carry it all the way to. It may just naturally die out, but I can't be certain. Yeah, well, let's there's an enemy base. There's an enemy base, a very small one, but regardless of what size of base it is, if I get attacked, I don't know what's going to happen. So the big base, and so the scale of the base is so big that it's gonna be big. Oh my god, why I created this? It's for safety! It's for safety! It's for safety! It's for the safety of our base. We take down enemies because for our safety. Whatever it means. It means someone has to be down for the good. Anyway, so I think the safety is secure. I think the place is a bit easy. What should I say? I think I'm good on the north section. Let's check the south section before I put in words of regrets. Because the enemies are certainly not going to like us. For the intense spore clouds that we released over the course of farming things, so. And as to my experience, if you don't take the enemy bases down and then attack you, and it's very most likely that you're going to just suffer, and then your base is most likely going to be taken down with mass quantities of very powerful enemies. I do not want that to happen, so might as well just be on the safe side and take down any kind of enemy bases I found, so I don't get to turns to words of regrets. Can't even keep the small ones because I don't know what happens if they also attack. It's very enemy based, and the color of the Jellynut biome is also very very easily mistaken for enemy bases. So. I can't help with that. This is very weird, and I ended up not eating the jelly. I might as well just do this. One thing for sure is Pentacle X up for disposal, because oh my god, if I don't dispose the Pentacle X, it's over. Anyways, the plantation for the Jellynut is Comics Extreme. But that is the Jellynut. So the Jellynut plantation is initiated finally after about, I don't know, 80 minutes of talking about how I designed this thing. I really hope it works properly, because oh my god, there's a lot of going. Anyways, speaking of power, or like heating mechanics for heat exchanger, that kind of stuff, let's fix power for finally at last, time to fix power for the whole thing. So the first thing, I want to take down this whole thing. I already have a pre-made nucleus setup here. First, let me take the tiles off, and then we can put the nuclear power and the rail chain signal. Might as well just leave it. It can just be what it is for now. But I don't want this. Anyway, so this is about to be the nuclear setup. I already got the nuclear things set up, but still need a lot more nuclear things so set up. And that will be the heat exchanger, and that's a lot of copper. Well, wonderful. It just needs to keep going, and that should be perfectly fine. But yeah, that's the heat exchanger. So what is the concept behind? Well, actually, I would like to get the... Yeah, whatever. So let's trim this part off. And then trim this part off. And then I can cut this section and flip it, so I get the desired approach for this. So this The design for the nuclear reactor is actually quite simple, as the heat is actually quite easy to deal with at this current version. And the easier part is actually the water, because the new fluid mechanics in 2.0 actually made the water transportation from nuclear reactor way easier. So that's a plus. And then we're going to be making the uranium fuel cell, so we can actually power the nuclear reactor. So our next thing is actually going to be setting up for power production. Setting up for our water, so I can actually power the reactors. Now, for heat exchanger to function, you will need to get the temperature to 500 degree. So it really takes just time, really. And as for our current situation with our food production, maybe it's most likely that it's just because the plantation is just going on the way of it's going to slowly drain out the fruit. This is also another problem that we found out to deal with in Gleba, is that you have to somehow treat the imbalance, the unstable flow of fruits. So like at one point it's constant flow of a very dense flow of fruits, and at the other times it's just going to be low fruits. This is something that has to be addressed, and it's actually not really easy to deal with this. So I may try to figure a way to get this addressed. But comes with a relatively simple solution to the problem. Is to make some loops like this. So the fruits gets the balance. But this can go badly. It's not like an unstable fruit, it's just simply way too much, and then the spoilage method can screw up many things, and that's why I want to get every single the blocks that take or should I say the storage, including belts of the thing, which the inserter is going to be taking and then put into the bio chamber. Also going to be needing another inserter that is going to be pulling out the spoilage in case of any kind of spoilage sites. So it appears that we run out of the landfill for this, and we have been creating a lot of spoilage. Yeah, so speaking of landfill, if I haven't got any more landfill for this, the stone patch is about to run out, but I don't have that problem. Yes. So I just going to put more landfill here, and then we got a lot more Factorio Marco soil. Oh my god, 730. Jeez. And I should be able to complete this thing, and then it should be a very steady stream of Marco. A very steady 15 per second Marco. And then, well, almost 15 per second, but yeah, because there's something else that I can't deal with at the moment. And yeah, it's already the very basics of the entire build for Gleba, actually. Here, I already told you about many of the aspects that you need to be aware of while you're designing a blueprint for Gleba, and let's talk about my current Gleba blueprints where I'm going to be using the next part. So I have a disposal blueprint, which is going to be disposing any excess Umarco or Jellynut. It's because I want to process all the fruits. It's the very first thing that I need to do is to absolutely make sure that I process most or all the fruits. Definitely not all, but most of the fruits. It's mostly because the seeds that I want the seeds, and to get this addressed. So I have come up with the method for disposing any excess fruits that is not using in the train loop, because the train is going to be carrying the fruits, and it's going to be carrying fruit every so often in the cycle. Well, I have to set how long that is, but the disposal is going to be quite important, because I don't want the fruits themselves to be spoiled. I only want you can let the processed fruits to be spoiled, but we don't want the fruits to be spoiled because we want the seeds. Otherwise, the cycle will most likely to end due to lack of seeds. And then there's the same thing here, Jellynut's disposal. And here's the bioflux design. The bioflux design is quite similar to what I have came up with that rocket fuel that comes with the. So I have this approach for actually putting this into a chest to put the chest into the other biochanges take the things from the chest. You could possibly come up with something like this, but I don't want this because it doesn't really fit well in a substation grid, because well, how many tiles is this? It's 11 tiles. I also is some sort of a not so compact in my opinion, is not so compact for a substation grid, because you just lost the space between. You just lost at least like 2 styles of space in the middle of just the vial chambers. It's more linear. It is easier to set up, but I just want to set up something like this, so I get to squeeze as much of space in the things in the middle of stuff. And I would like to potentially get the second rocket fuel, though I'm probably going to have a very huge amount of rocket fuel in the end of the run. But those are most likely going to be burnt with the heating tower and then the house. So I might as well just go back to gnomes. So the nuclear production plants, I believe, is just good. Alright, so the nuclear production plant is settled, and then I should be good with the accumulators. So those has to be settled for that. But as you can see here, as our nuclear production is setting up, we can easily settle for an easy production for the production nuclear power. Then I should never need to worry about, because this one block is producing 1.76 gigawatts of power. It will be producing 1.76 gigawatts of power. Was it our average with solar in the last 10 hours? 1.2 gigawatts. Yeah. So yeah, it's way more than the average of all these. Well, maybe not most of these, but yeah, not all of those. But yeah, you can see how compressed is the nuclear power when it comes to producing the thing. And it's actually quite easy to do the logistic thing. It's just not right. Might as well just get this fixed. And I don't want this in the middle of stuff. So let's get this fixed before I live on through that. Well, it hasn't been jamming, but what is going to happen? So, yeah. And then thanks to Coverex, we have a lot more uranium-235. So that's a lot of uranium-235. And we already clog up all uranium-235 Wi-Fi. We actually have a very large stockpile of 235, allowing us to get to the later on biolabs, which is going to be very decent. Let's return to talk about the thing. So later on, though, I also going to talk about the iron bacteria. This is a bit more special because there's a bit divided into two parts: is to build the bacteria and to cultivate the bacteria. So the making the bacteria is very similar to the approach that I want to directly produce the fruit. I want to directly process the fruits to the adjacent biochamber, or to go through a chest and then go to a biochamber. And here is here also comes with the storage for seeds and that stuff. But yeah, here you can see the Jellynut processing, and then we do the bacteria, and then we do the bacteria cultivation, and there's some combinators going. I will be talking about this. Is the same for the copper bacteria. So the iron and the copper bacteria here is kind of touching the subgrid, but it is still in the 18 by 18. But this is the processing for the bacteria, and then we can then get our iron and copper needed for many things. But this eats a lot of bioflux, and we don't have that much bioflux budget for bioflux, as we also need bioflux on many other things. That's the reason why I say Firefox is complex. For the reason that you will need so much of it to actually get things to work. And that's also the reason I really want to use foundries here, because when we get to be able to use the foundries, then we can easily get our needs for any material, or needs for any kind of materials that we're potentially going to need in the future. As it's a lot easier to set up for that. Well, actually, it's a lot more efficient for the ore. So you make the more ores more valuable using the foundries, but you will need calcite for that. So I will have to deliver calcite first, and then when I eventually come to the capability of researching advanced H-ray processing, then I will be able to self-sustain calcite using a calcite ship. Then I shouldn't need to worry about the calcite consumption in Gleba. And I can also self-sustain cliff explosive production on both Gleba and Malphis. Speaking of Gleba and explosive, we also have biosulfur. This is a bit neater because it uses spoilage to make. So here I have the thought about maybe it will just be using spoilage, and yeah. So yeah, that was the concept on spoilage, and it's even neater in the way that this can be stacked this way. So, yeah, there are many interesting designs coming out with Gleba. And here's the bioplastic. Well, it's quite straightforward. As for the seat, it's actually on the same level as it's on the same level as the spoilage. So maybe I should get this fixed, otherwise it looks not so nice. And here's the biorocket fuel. The biorocket fuel is this one that assumes that I already have bioflux, and under the ratios that one jelly production is going to be able to support 2 rocket fuel. And here is a pentapod cultivation. It's actually quite straightforward, but it's dangerous in the way that, pentapods, if they break out, it can be very dangerous. So that's why there are turrets and programmable speakers to give out warnings if anything that happens. I wouldn't talk about more of this for now. And I will start to set up the things in the next part, but I think doing off-screen, I will be most likely to get the train set up so I can get some Umarco and Jellynut production going, so I can actually start talking about the whole process for the rest of the Gleba. But we have broke through that we are actually started growing our Jellynuts. Then we can start to expand our Jellynut production, and then finally start to work on the actual processing for Gleba production, anything that I potentially going to need in Gleba. And then we're going to be setting out the Botmo, everything essential needs, including rocket components like processing units, LDS. Well, the rocket fuel is actually very easy here, but it's a bit tangly for this build, but yeah, I think I am satisfied with this build now. So, anyways, not much was done for this part, but we have established a better foundation for the plantation. We have a very basic setup here where we're going to be also contain the kind of eggs, so we don't like lose the we don't have to like go out to to take down some enemies for the eggs. And we also have this also production, so I can actually get the Jellynut going and to produce rocket fuel, which is a very efficient way to produce to go for the heating towers. So yeah, that's pretty much for the scope for the next part or two in Gleba, and I'm most likely going to be asking for some more productivity researches because uh, I feel like I'm going to be asking for some productivity on the way. As for Fulgora researches, I don't think I need to worry about those too much. As anything except for energy steel motor, which is not requiring anything that comes from Fulgora, because it only needs processors, low density structures, and energy shield. It doesn't need Holmium products, like the personal robot parts and inquiry superconductors, solar capacitors for personal battery Mark 3s. And the lightning collector, which is supposedly used in Fulgora, it can only be on there. And the rail support foundations, which is only for Fulgora again. Tesla weapons can be useful for Gleba defenses because they stun. They're actually stun. So this kind of stun is actually quite useful for stompers to give you more time to be able to deal with the stompers. So yeah, that's the Fulgoran science at the moment. But yeah. Anyway, so if you want to follow the series, consider subscribing and turn off the notifications. And I will see you in the next part. Thanks for watching.